Hey there, Saggitarius. Well, I'm Psychic Hunter David Williamson from Toronto, Canada. and I finally decided that I'm going to do the structured readings like everybody else. And why not? I've been doing this for now going on 34 years this year. A lot of people know me here in the city of Toronto. A lot of people know me in the South in the United States. A lot of people know me in Britain. I've been doing this for a very long time. And during COVID, I started doing the readings on the phone. Anyway, it's about time. My accountant told me 10 years ago, don't you think maybe you could be working on YouTube? But anyway, I didn't, and I waited, and that's okay. So Sagittarius, quite an interesting time ahead. You three fire signs, I'm telling you, this is going to be quite an exciting time. Please look forward. Please subscribe. Hit the little bell icon that you're prepared and ready to know when I download the next one for you, or if you want to watch different signs, if you know your ascendant, please follow that. You can look at your moon too. Remember, your moon is more your mom and your home environment, and your sun sign is your father and your career. And that makes sense. My father, well, I had a couple of them, but the one in question, there's a couple that were not the easiest, but they were quite interesting. But Jupiter is also important too. With me, Jupiter has always been, Jupiter was in Gemini, and I have Jupiter in Gemini, and that's where it's moving next year, so it's a good year. Jupiter Gemini, every Gemini that comes into my life changes my life. So it's pretty freaky. That there is damn accurate. So anyway, I'm going to get underway, and we're going to do just the rider deck today, and I'm going to do this week. And then as I get going, I'm going to see how much following I get, and if people really like the readings, then I'm going to continue, and I'm going to do this weekly, and I will do a monthly. I want to try to get the monthly up anyway for February by next weekend. And I want to talk right away about the fact that Pluto is moving. So Pluto, for you Sagittarius, from your solar sun sign, is leaving your self-worth, your financial, etc. Now, Sagittarians came out of the doghouse a while ago. Like they went through their real capital S. I mean, they did. And I know I've read a lot of them. And, sometimes Sagittarians race off and they're very sensitive. Sagittarians are this and that, and that was my adopted dad. And you say something, what? Well, I didn't do that. Oh my God, it's like you've taken a whip out of a drawer. All I can say is, and I apologize for the sinus, that's going to be taken care of soon too. All I can say is, try to be a little kinder to yourself and think before you leap and think before you say. I mean, I have Mercury in Sag, so I got to watch that, and I'm listening to my own advice. Because it's a really interesting year ahead. I mean, you're in such great standing. Your sun sign has gone direct. It's sitting with Uranus in Taurus, which is Venus, which is passionate. It's in a very good station, a very good placement. You've also got the aspect that it's going to move to Gemini. Now, to me, moving into Gemini is a few things. For you Sagittarians, it's also that a mirror is being held up. And a mirror is being held up to sort of say, hey, I'm over here. I'm you. I'm over here. What are you doing? What do you want? Where do you want to go from here? What's most important? Is it just about money? Is it just about partying? Is it just about travel? Or is it more? Are you going to be really conscientious over your choices that you want in your experience? Or are you going to let that slide by the way? You have to really understand. It's about thought process outcome. My philosophy has been for a lot of years. I don't know if it was Shakti Gawain, who I did study and I got to meet once, or it was a few others, but thought process outcome, I think it might have been Louise Hay, is very important, because what we think about and we put into action, we manifest. We don't even have to sometimes hold tight. It's actually hold loosely is even better. But just be aware, Sag, because you've got so much opportunity. You're in as strong an opportunistic position as the others, as the other two fire signs. So let's just sort of see where things go from here. This whole move of Pluto out of this position, stop stressing over what you look like. If you've got an issue to resolve, deal with it. If you don't know how to deal with it, hire or get involved with somebody that knows what they're doing. We're paying them to do what they're an expert with. Take control. I have a girl that's coming to me for years. Yin yang, yin yang, yin yang. Get the gummies. Do what you need to do. Take control of that experience and actually start to love yourself more. And the more you work on loving yourself, these things are probably going to just slide away. We make them these humongous monsters, and I'm as guilty. I'm not saying that I'm not. So anyway, let's just start in here at where we're going to go with this. Oh, this is an interesting element. Watch what you say. Still in here, boys and girls. Ooh, 2 at once. Well, 2 lovers are always better than 1 anyway. Oh, interesting. Okay. So what you're coming out of was you had a big retrograde cycle. Also, Uranus is going direct too in the next week or 2. This is something really interesting as well because you're sistering with Aquarius. Pluto's moving there. So this has a lot to do with, okay, everything's shifting and changing for everybody. That's why when someone says, well, it doesn't affect me because I'm not an Aquarius and I'm not, it affects us all. If you don't know your full chart, if you don't know what your ascendant is, you don't know really yet the full story. So what I want you to understand in here is you have this element about relinquishing. I don't mean relinquishing that you're letting go and getting rid of. To me, what it is that you're understanding that the more you sort of hold on, and I could be a little guilty of that too. I'm like, oh, I don't want to sell that antique. I really kind of like it, but I don't even look at it. You know, we have to get to the stage where if you're not wearing it, give it to the Salvation Army. Give it somewhere where someone's going to make use of it. Doesn't matter what they do. Don't get into an analytical discussion over they rip everybody off. Who cares? That's not your story. Your story is you are going to attract abundance into your experience. They can do whatever the hell they want. It's about you. When I hear people sit and have a coffee and all they do is go on about they, I'm as bad. I've gotten into my rants too. And I think back after and I think, what are you doing? You're getting caught up with nonsensical garbage. So you've got a few things going on in here. If by chance, and this may not apply to every one of you, if by chance there was anything that went on that was legal or to do with legalities, or that you've achieved, somebody that's a Sagittarius that achieves citizenship somewhere, or they actually finish their law degree, or they whatever, set up their business. This is a good thing. And my nose is itchy, which probably means somebody Sag is going to be angry with me. The only thing I want you to be careful about is what you say. Because right now, you've got a dynamic element, and you've got that sort of truth there. But what you've got crossing that is yabbada, yabbada, yabbada. I say this to my friends, you don't want the whole town to know. Shut your can. Say nothing. Hire a therapist. If they speak about this by law, they can be charged. They can. You can actually go after a therapist if they divulge, aside from another specialist. If they divulge, if I started talking about your private business, I could get in trouble like anybody out there that's a psychic, a therapist, or whatever. You can't go and divulge personal information. So I am really uptight about that. But in your reading, I want you to be strong. And, you know, the minute you start, here's a solution. Now I'm seeing it here. I'm seeing this physicality versus he said, she said garbage. Take a walk. My mother used to say that. She was Gemini, my birth mother. Or my birth mother, sorry, was Sag. She should have taken a walk. My mother was a Gemini, and my poor mom, died young. But one of her big things was, if you have an issue, take a walk. Take a walk around the block or something. Do something active. Stop sitting here wallowing. She was a bright woman. And what I want you to understand is you have 2 verses in here. You have what's crossing or holding you back, which is da-da-da-da-da-da, Sagittarians, or physicality. Now listen, you're the centaur. Do you understand what that is? A horse's body, and believe me, I won't get into it. I've met some. A horse's body, somebody will get that dirty joke. The horse's body is one thing, but then you've also got the aspect of this fire element in regards to experience, and pay attention here, the physicality from here up, and the horse's body to do it, which is, Pilates, working out, gym. Most Sag men have beautiful bodies. My adopted dad did. So you want to be able to pay attention to that, because the more you work out, the more serotonin, positive endorphin, released in the brain, and you feel fantastic. Get a trainer. Get a trainer, do something, be powerful, go snowmobiling, do whatever you need to do. Okay, so that's that. Now, we're going to get into the stories. Yeah, there is the aspect of lovers, but it's not, listen, I'm not going to get into who, because if I say this, they're going to give me hell. And I won't, because I wouldn't do that. How do you stop yourself from finding somebody attractive? This whole thing about, I'm going to wear the blinders. Now, you are the horse, woman or man, the centaur. I'm going to wear the horse blinders, and this gorgeous guy walks by with snug jeans on, and you're not going to look and say, woof. You know, I remember a certain individual in my family made a comment, and it was many, many years, like 30 years ago. And there was a comment made, we were all kind of drinking and having a good time, you know, and it was, how did you stay married all these years? Someone might figure this out. And the individual in question, a woman, made a claim that it was one night Robert Taylor, next week it was Cary Grant. And I thought, what a great, great outcome. Snap chick, you got it. So the bottom line here is, we live in an age today where, first of all, you're a Sag, and they don't have ADHD in the essence of ADHD, maybe like some of the air signs do, which is nothing wrong with ADHD if you're brilliant, because intellect is part of that. It's thinking, thinking, thinking on your feet. If you're an actor or actress, you better be bloody well able to think on your feet. But what I'm getting in here is, you got to kiss a few frogs before you find your prince or princess. And if we settle for, and any of you that are out that have gone through separation, gone through changes, etc., which could have happened, you know, you had your sun sign with Uranus, which is spontaneity. It was sistering, kissing one another right there in Venus, which is love. And right before that, it was in Mars, which Mars attacks. So there was a lot going down here. Careful, just take your time. And maybe it's that you're going to get to this stage of your experience where you're really free and really honest and say, you know what? I think you're beautiful. I think you're fantastic. I will let you know when I've made up my mind of what I want. Because, you know, I think the ingratiating and this is maybe how I feel, and I don't like the word maybe. I don't like would, could, should either, really. Although I use them, but I don't like those words. I think in all honesty, there's a lot of things that are happening here going forward that are important. You've got to get to this stage. You do have to get to this stage through the course of the next week that you start to recognize the more intellectual you come across and the more well-read you come across and the more knowledgeable you express all you know. I know a lot of Sages that are bright as hell with what they do. I don't know how to asphalt a road. I don't know how to roof a friggin' building. So when someone says, you know, they're not very bright, what do you mean they're not very bright? I don't do what they do. I'm not a construction guy. I don't know how to run the TTC machines or, you know, so remember something. Pride of ownership in regards to self, meaning number one, your body. That you pay attention to that. This is a big whopper. Number two, the pride of ownership is also what you give off that you know. If you're fantastic at pulling apart an Indian motorbike and putting it back together again, duh, that's brilliant in itself. So don't beat yourself up. So there's a little bit of that going down in here. The other thing I want you to be very strong about, all of you Sages, guys, girls, whoever watches this, write down or type into your phone your dreams. Dreamscape is very heightened with all of that stuff. You've Uranus, now Pluto's part of the mix. And then you've got, you know, Venus that your sun sign's sitting in, kind of, you know, busting shoulders next to, you know, Uranus, which is going to go direct in a week and a bit. So you want to pay attention to all of that. Your outcome is you in male-female form, meaning that the strength of self, physical, etc., etc., etc. I think this is fantastic. The only thing I would say, the only fly in the ointment I would say in your reading, and this could come up because we're inching and inching and inching and inching, still have quite a bit of time till mid-May with your sun sign with Venus and Uranus. The only thing I would say in here is, if heartbreak presents itself, all you Sages, I would say you might have to ask yourself where your own defensiveness, your own expectation of self is then ricocheted upon someone else and it's coming right back at you. This does not mean it's karma. Everybody overuses that term, I do myself. What I think this is about here is, why will you not let someone in? Is it heartbreak from the past? Is it, you know, it's trust? We have to trust ourselves. So it sometimes boils down to, I love myself exactly as I am. But we have to also look a little deeper. So there's something in here that I want you to pay really close attention to. It's not a deal breaker. It's not a horrible. The outcome is you. The outcome is the King of Wands. That's female, male, whatever. And it's very assertive. It's aggressive. It's in control of one's destiny. You're in Venus. Your sun sign is in the constellation of Venus. This is very passionate. You can achieve a lot. A lot. You might have to get up off your duff, meaning you don't sit around in a bar and think that things are going to work out. You still want to take action. Again, I don't care whether you read crib notes. I don't care whether you look it up on the internet and then talk in the meeting. You need to be able to sell yourself with the knowledge and what you already possess with your own, chosen with your own chosen field, whether it be existing or what you're learning. Because I don't see in here a negative. Sometimes in a reading I will tell you this can mean that the Sagittarian is going through something about father. I do. I mean, I dreamed last night my dad was in there again, adopted dad, which I have always dreaming about him. It could be that you're working through something at this given moment about father. Remember, we are in Capricorn. That is your house of expression, is your house of self. Next weekend, when Pluto moves, we're moving into Aquarius. So it softens that intensity and that energy. By the way, this house of Capricorn is also your money house, your money. So with it leaving, Pluto leaving, causing this crash, boom, rebuild, it can actually mean that you can move into a very, very dynamic period of time. I think Capricorns will find themselves in a far better opportunistic time to really rebuild their lives. If they play their cards right, no pun intended. But I think, in all honesty, in your reading, it's good. The thing that I find fascinating, now, this element in here about the Lover's card linked to a 3, can also, it can mean a bit of a love triangle, can mean that we're torn a little. I don't like when I see that. I have a lot of sisters, as I said. I don't like the divide to conquer. Sometimes it's that, family-wise, and you're starting to become really, really sharp at this crap. It can also represent the fact, too, that you've got their children. That's even if there's more than, meaning you, they, and what the heck is this, or his golden retriever, or whatever the story is, or her and her story. Just, again, take your time. The goal in your reading to succeed, Sagittarius, intellectualize what you're dealing with. Get the information you need. People walk around with that cell phone in their hand, and yes, you can't believe everything you read on the internet. But you can do research about yourself. You can do some research to change the very story and flip it around and start to recognize, wait a minute here. All I needed to be told was I'm going to be okay. All I needed to be told was we can work this out. All I needed. That's it. So pay attention. Anyway, it's been great. And I will get on to the earth signs, the Tauruses, which are in a really powerful position, Virgo and Capricorn. If I get time, I'm going to do it this afternoon. I do have a personal reading on the phone, or I will do that first thing tomorrow morning, and then I will get into the other 2 sets of signs before tomorrow night, and they'll all be up. So it's been great. You heard it here first, and I'm still available for personal readings. You can find that on Facebook. I'm on Facebook under Psychic Hunter David Williamson, or Instagram, or I have my own website, www.psychichunterdavidwilliamson.com. Wish you the best. It's been great pleasure, a lot of fun after many years that I said I was going to do this, and I'm finally doing it. Have a good one. Bye.